Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a grand solar minimum preparedness update. Saturday, April 13th at midnight, you're looking at the current GFS models showing snow extending all the way to the end of April. Heavy snow west of the Continental Divide, ending the drought in many regions. It's going to be a good growing season out here. The fear is that the snow moving through Michigan and Minnesota is going to delay those planting dates. You've entered Magnetic Reversal News, the news you need to know. And Grand Solar Minimum Preparedness Update every other day is my promise to you. Stick with us. As blizzard exits central U.S., severe weather to erupt this weekend from a new storm in the south. And we're talking Saturday, areas like Shreveport, Ruston, Monroe, northern Louisiana. You're going to have tornado warnings extending all the way up into Arkansas as record-breaking late-season blizzard departs after dumping 1 to 2 feet of snow in north-central U.S. A new storm system threatens to deliver the next weather assault. I got to turn that off. This time, the South will be the target of potentially violent weather. A tornado outbreak is possible Saturday with widespread risk of wind damage. More severe storms could flare up Sunday, which will not be your fun day. Let's get to the facts of the blizzard that buried Puxatawny Phil. Them's is some facts. Gray screen. And that's tonight's first. Heartland begins digging out as blockbuster spring blizzard finally departs. That guy looks pissed. Oh my goodness.
It's creating blizzard conditions across Colorado and the upper Midwest. Strong winds. Visibility almost zero. Heavy snow and strong winds creating blizzard conditions across Colorado and the upper Midwest. Strong winds knock down trees and power lines everywhere, these lines galloping, meaning the wind causes them to move. The ice then weighs them down and breaks them. Crews working around the clock in South Dakota to restore power to people left in the cold.
Our guys in the field, they do this for the people that we serve. You know, there's no question about it.
Folks in Nebraska still reeling from historic flooding, now battling snow.
Instead of Nebraska strong, it should be Nebraska tired.
Trying to keep up with the snow while working overtime to keep business running. People driving on roads damaged by flooding, now covered with snow and ice, is a challenge.
Although the water's gone down now, the infrastructure in our counties, brown rock counties, are still really compromised.
Weary ranchers, farmers, and homeowners tired of battling Mother Nature, but determined to help each other through.
We're all in this together, and we'll get through it together.
Amen to that. We're all in this together. Rivers go down, snow comes up, rivers come back up. The intense spring blizzard dumped 30 inches in some areas, caused power outages to thousands of people. Almost 100,000 at the max point. The monster storm turned deadly Wednesday evening in Denver and is being blamed for at least 2 fatalities. One in Denver and one in Minnesota. James Raff, an aircraft inspector for UA, lost control of his truck and slid and collided with a snowplow. Oh, holy cow. The snowplow tried to avoid the crash, authorities said, but the truck crashed into the snowplow. We are deeply saddened to learn of the loss of this and many other people. 100 crashes and more than 160 spinouts reported in Minnesota, and a 20-year-old man was killed after he lost control of his car and crossed the center median. Highway 12 in Buffalo. Holy sh! Drive slow. If you're still one of the sheep and you think you have to get somewhere, they've lied to you. If you want to live, be safe. How much did you get in Wisconsin? Looks like about a foot. In Townsend, 11.3 in Wasau, Schoenfield, 10.5, Crivets, 10, High Falls, 10, Sister Bay, 10, Wissahickon, 10, Wisconsin Rapids, 10. You get it. 10 across the board. What caused that brown-colored snow? Oh my God. Heads up. Northeast Wisconsin. Did Thursday's snowfall appear a little brown to you? Downtown Leroy Brown. That's disgusting. I mean, we're not even Russia. Snowiest winter on record in Eau Claire. Holy 91.3 inches. Old record being crushed. Not really. 2 inches. It's a crushing. That is a crush. It's like 2%. Snowiest winter on record in Eau Claire. Who cares? I do, because Utah ski resorts have also seen some of the snowiest records this year, and there's still a month left on the slopes in Utah. They didn't even ski last year. March is the second snowiest on record in Colorado, in Aspen, where they invented the ski resort because of that one year. James Harvey rides through powder in a run of high alpine at Snowmass March 7th. This March was the third snowiest in 24 years of the entire Snowmass history. And they can kiss my Snowmass. They can do it. High water levels predicted in Lake Michigan this summer as the record snow melts into the lake. And this guy, well, he did something bad. Let's see what they have to say. Do they have anything to say? Benzie County, Michigan. Water levels are high in Lake Michigan right now, and the Army Corps of Engineers is predicting that water will continue for the next several months. Yeah. Doesn't water continue in the lake for the entire year? Lake Manaski Huron, 22 inches above its long-term average.
The Army Corps of Engineers is predicting those levels will rise
Okay, this is going to be a while.
The Army Corps of Engineers is predicting those levels will rise even. The Army Corps of Engineers is predicting those levels will rise even.
Now what we've got weather fronts out in the Atlantic, but it's this big area of high pressure across Scandinavia that is really winning out, keeping our weather dry and settled over the next few days, but also drawing in quite a cold easterly breeze. Now lots of sunshine out there, but there will be more cloud moving in on that easterly breeze, particularly for anywhere from Aberdeenshire down towards Norfolk, Kent as well. One or two showers here in the east, but for the vast majority of places it is a dry day with some sunshine. Now temperatures are going to struggle.
BBC Sarah Keith Lucas forecast that temperatures would be below freezing overnight on Saturday as the UK braces for the cold snap. The UK will remain relatively dry for most parts of the country, but the cold temperatures will be felt despite the sunshine. Now, I have no idea what I missed without my accent, so we'll go back and we'll do it again. Yeah, and apparently we missed this map. Severe thunderstorm outbreak expected from eastern Texas into western Alabama on Saturday. Threat shift into the Ohio Valley into Sunday. We told you about the severe weather threat in eastern Texas, Louisiana, even Arkansas, and that's going to move east. We're talking about tornado warnings and large hail in this region I'm circling, and there are no watches and warnings. The only watches and warnings are freeze watches and warnings up here in northeast Kansas, and a winter storm watch up here in northern Texas. But no severe weather watches down here, so please be advised it's about to hit the fan. Not only that, excuse my French, and I apologize for the lack of audio. We're doing our best over here. We don't have much time. Latest predictions for the upcoming solar cycle are in. And the important thing is what I'm about to show you. Here's the preliminary forecast, and here is the blue zone. This is the zone when the minimum will occur. This is when the solar polar field will reverse and we will enter solar cycle 25. And this is the time when solar cycle 25 should peak. What that means is that 2023 through 2026 is going to be a bad time frame for the grid, because the grid will not be hardened and the sun will be flaring, the magnetosphere will be waning. Now, the more important part is the next year of your life. Here is the 2020 flexure, and according to the mainstream, cycle 25 may not begin until the middle or the end of 2020. And now what that tells us is the solar polar reversal is not going to happen until January of 2020. We may have a long wait until there's a big earthquake. But in the meantime, bad things are about to happen. Because at solar minimums, let's just go back here. Let me just reopen this so you're very clear here. You can see here, this is summer of 2009 and this is 2008. This was when the solar polar fields reversed. From the summer of 2008 to the summer of 2009, the solar polar fields reversed. And during that reversal, we had the 2008 Sichuan earthquake at 8 magnitude. 69,000 people died in this quake, 68,636 in Sichuan province. Almost 500,000 were injured. And then, shortly thereafter, I just made a boo-boo. Let's get back to the facts. Now we're talking about this same blue square that would be right over here in the same exact size. So we had the Sichuan earthquake, and then it was followed by the 2009 Samoa earthquake and tsunami. We're talking about a tsunami of 50 feet at the Samoan coast. Countries affected by the tsunami in areas that were hit by the American Samoan tsunami. More than 200 people were killed, and this is the largest quake of 2009, an 8.1 at the Mercalli intensity. And so that's what happened during the last solar polar magnetic reversal. We had an 8.0 and an 8.1. 500,000 people were injured and over 70,000 people were killed. Now, this one should be bigger because we're deeper into the minimum, we're deeper into the drop-off, and there will be greater effects. So we're looking for maybe 2 8 magnitude or greater to do equal amounts of damage. And if these both occur in Indonesia or around the Ring of Fire, we're looking for tsunami damage, major loss of life. The warning time starts now and does not end until the end of 2020. And as predicted by the John Casey relational cycle, we may see the New Madrid fault this winter, because the last time it faulted back in 2011 or 1811 and 1812, it was in the winter and spring, the same time we're entering into. So things are lining up for very bad things to occur, and very bad things occur on these solar minimum flexures. 6.8 magnitude earthquake off Indonesia coast prompts tsunami warnings. 310,000 people were within a 62-mile range of this tsunami, but nothing kicked off. It was only a 6.8, which has been downgraded to barely a 6.0 by the USGS. Not only that, I was watching live today while the Ferndale quake kicked off, which they're now claiming at 4.6. There was a 5.2 up here on the transition zone, and then a 4.2 below it, and then they made it one single quake at 4.6 or 4.8, 4.6. I watched it happen. So we have major activity in the Indonesia region and some deep activity. So there is a chance for more activity popping off here in the next 24 hours at a greater magnitude than 6.8, which has already occurred. And that was about 12 hours ago. 100 kilometers southwest of Lombok. Let's move that over here so you can actually look at it. And then you don't feel like a chump. So there's the 6.8 at 17 kilometers. And no tsunami, even at that shallow depth, which is amazing. We have some activity in Ecuador at a deep depth, so look for a larger quake up in this region coming soon. And Indonesia's having some deep activity here. So we're going to be watching the Indonesia region where this major quake kicked off for maybe volcanic activity or another major slump. Heads up! We're keeping it real over at Magnetic Reversal News, the news you need to know. Worldwide Volcano News Update. Merapi, Shevalush, Reventador, Sakurajima, Sabancaya. Nothing of note. We have continuous explosive activity continuing at Reventador. Shevalush blows to 13,000 feet. Merapi is puffing, as well as Karaminsk in the Kamchatka, Klucheskyov. And we showed you just 2 days ago that the K-Vert video up at Shevalush. So Kamchatka is popping, as well as Popo and others. We're just waiting for the big boom. It will happen. And it's going to happen in the next year. By next summer of 2020, everything will have occurred. We're going to have 2 major quakes, major volcanic eruptions. So that's all going to happen this year. And that's just the beginning of the game. It's called the primer. Visible sunspot 2738 is gigantic and thankfully not magnetically complex. We have 24 hours of this baby passing across the Earth-facing death zone, but very little activity coming from it in the low B range. The whole spot is negative. It's all umbra and penumbra in the red. And we're looking for some blue to develop around it, other spots, in which case we will get a solar flare. Canada hikes price of diesel fuel with new carbon tax. They're taxing plant food and raising prices of fuel. Bottom line, it's a fraud. It's a scam, just like government and everything else. IRS much? Filipinos plan more diggings where new human species are found. Now, this species is similar to Homo floresiensis. These are the fairies and the elves of lore. It's not a myth. It's the truth. This is a leg bone. And you've been duped. Like a crock of dupers. Now, what we should glean from this, and I'm not even going to let it parse up, is that there are multiple species of hominids on Earth living simultaneously. Each with consciousness, independent thought, and empathy. Just like we thought there was. There is no gradual evolution. It's episodic and catastrophic. And the catastrophe is coming. World Health Organization stopped short of declaring health emergency over DRC Ebola outbreak. Here's the Ebola epidemic in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And it's not looking good, folks. There is a major uptick. There's a spike here. And when you see a spike, that means this curve is going parabolic. The next spike will be at 2,000. Then we'll see a 6,000. And then usually they'll quelch it. Unless it's runaway. This is a runaway epidemic. This spike is now parabolic. You can see the arc coming up. And we'll just check the data in the next week and see what's happening. Next week, the World Health Organization will declare an emergency over Ebola. Mark my words. And my words are marked. Israeli spacecraft Beresheet smashes in an attempt to land on the moon. Or did it? Are there people there now that are repopulating underground? There's no evidence of the actual smashed craft, so we'll be looking for it. What we do have is evidence of the last picture taken before the quote-unquote supposed ending of the billion-dollar mission. Yeah, so let me get this straight. 40 years later, we are still smashing into the moon, which is not even that far away. Okay. Yeah, I believe it. Now let's talk about some good news. Let's talk about enhancing your high. Herbs to combine with your cannabis. We all know that cannabis is a miracle working plant. But did you know that you can enhance and augment the healing properties of cannabis by combining it with other healing medicinal plants? Well, I did, and I want to share it with you because there's now an article. And that's why I'm passing this list of 10 herbs that are perfect cannabis companions. Ashwagandha. It's a root often used in Indian Ayurvedic medicine. It's proven to be an adaptogen, or substance which helps your body react properly to stress. Now, if you read the article and you click here, a recent study on ashwagandha shows that the properties of this herb were tested against known anti-anxiety medications from the scam artists. And guess what? It works just as good. Dahmania, holy basil, kratom, lavender, mint, echinacea, St. John's wort, chamomile. You can mix it with your pot. Each one has a different effect. If you're an avid cannabis user and you want to know more, please read the article, which, by the way, will be linked below. Now, if you're a devilweed and on the cusp and you have an autistic child, listen to me, for Christ's sake. You know, I'm about to get out the bullhorn.
Listen to me now. The facts are in, bitches. You know it, and listen to the facts, please.
Man, I might have that at LeCon. That thing is fun. Mutations found in individuals with autism interfere with endocannabinoid signaling in the brain. This paper coming out April 2013 shows that autistic children, even Asperger's, there is a mutation in individuals with autism that interferes with endocannabinoid signaling. So guess what that means, folks? If your autistic child were to partake in maybe some extracurricular cannabinoids, their symptoms would end. And that is the conclusion of this paper. The results indicate that targeting compounds of the endocannabinoid signaling system may help reverse autism symptoms. That means if you enter new cannabinoids into the signaling system, you will be providing that human with endocannabinoids to allow the system to work and actually reverse autism. Now, there was a couple in Australia that actually gave cannabis to their child. And they were found guilty of multiple felonies. They grew pot to give to their autistic child because he was recovering from autism. And the Superior Court residing over their case in 2014 did not sentence the couple to anything. They were released with minimum fines and no charges, because the superior judge knew that they were helping the child and that the laws that were set up were unjust. And this is just the beginning of the breakthrough. Opt out now. Get away, because they are going to end this medicine that we need shortly. It's becoming legal everywhere, but it's going to be controlled through a bottleneck. Just like money. They're going to destroy the monetary system. It's coming. 2028, this solar minimum here is the minimum to remember. And it's my prediction that up here in the blue box, the grid will fail and we'll be already ending the empire model. But what will happen before then is in the next year, major earthquakes will take the lives of 100,000 plus people. Major tsunamis will wash away tens of thousands of others. And volcanoes will begin to explode. And they will continue to erupt until we get to the grid down scenario, where financial markets collapse and we turn over to cryptocurrency, and you're locked into the smart cities where 5G is controlling your brain, and the rest of us are left in the wilderness to be hunted by the powers that be. Are you preparing for the times that are coming? They're coming quickly. There are ways to heal yourself. There are ways to get yourself off of the pharmaceutical system. There are natural homeopathic remedies. I implore you to research them yourselves. Time is limited, but knowledge is booming. It's called the quickening. The information that you're gaining, and if you are just catching up now, you have a long way to go. There's so much information in the last 3 years that we have gained. And if you're just catching up now, we've been doing this for decades. The time is now to start preparing, to be self-reliant, self-sustainable. You need to be in a region where you can supply yourself and your family and those that are in your area with fresh water. So please live near a unpolluted waterway or have a good well. You need to learn how to grow food, enough food for 10 times more people than are around you right now. We are now currently growing that much food here on the ranch. There is no purpose for me to grow this food except to be very comfortable and be at ease growing this much food. That way I don't have to worry about times of shortages in the future. The major problem is that many of you are unaware of the grid down scenario. This is the first stepping stone in the end of the empire scenario. The grid will falter. Your power will go out. If you do not have a backup supply of food or knowledge on how to go wild harvest food, barter, or have some cachet, that will be the beginning of your nightmare. Once you're hungry, it becomes difficult to support yourself, to provide for yourself. If you have a hedge and you have enough food to last for a year, you can then stockpile years worth of more wildcraft harvested food, wood, and supplies that will allow you to survive and thrive in the ongoing hard times. Most people will die quickly. If you're in a major metropolitan area, you will die with them. Disease and pestilence will spread quickly. It's the human paradigm that empathy will kick over and you will want to help people. And it is that very fact that has moved me into the most rural region of this country, because I do not want to be drawn into the chaos. These people had ample time to be properly prepared and be warned. There are dozens of people like me that have been warning people for years about the upcoming changes. Some nonsense, some are truthful. It doesn't matter what area. If it's Nibiru you should be preparing for and you're not prepared, that's on you. What I'm telling you about is natural climate variability, the shutdown of the sun, the magnetic reversal, which is the most significant change in human history, and the mainstream is not picking up on it, and mainstream scientists don't give up about it because they're so compartmentalized that they have no idea what's actually happening around them. They're trying to get their paper funded and go to school and be with their family. There is not enough time. The more people like me that opt out and then get their heads around the facts, scientists that have opted out, there are many of us. If we start to come together and tell the public about the dangers of the natural variability of what's happening in our cosmos and what is coming, and end the lies, people will start preparing. It's not about fear-mongering. It's about facts, folks. Knowledge is power. The most dangerous weapon to a corrupt oligarchy is an informed public. You are living in a corporatocracy run by 6 corporations that control the media, 5 multinational corporations that control the food that you eat, and that's it. They are in charge. You can take charge of your life and opt out of that situation. We are imploring you to do it now. Learn to grow your own food. It's springtime in the Northern Hemisphere. Go to Walmart, spend $1, buy some seeds, put them in dirt. If you don't learn these skills now, if the power goes out tomorrow, what will you do? You will eat your neighbor. I guarantee it. It's not a fantasy. It's not a nightmare. These are facts. Proper prior planning prevents eating your neighbor. Grow your own food. It's delicious. Food is free, and when you grow it, you can save money to prep for the coming times. It's not going to be easy. The forecast is bleak. Now, mark my words, by summer of 2020, there will be 2 major earthquakes above 8 magnitude and a major VEI 5 or greater volcanic eruption. And the next solar minimum, the one we're predicting from 2028 to 2032, to be no food growing worldwide, well, that will only be after the grid fails and there will be no power and the populations decrease by up to 75%. Times are changing. The information is waning. The jig is up. Censorship is rampant. This information will be gone soon. Share this with like-minded people. Join our mission. Help others. But before you do that, help yourself. You need 1 year of preps, dry food. You need knowledge, wild crafting skills. Learn how to wild forage in your area. Learn about wild mushrooms. Learn about wild edibles. Learn how to fish and hunt. And make friends. Move into areas with like-minded people. Do it now. Time is running out. We love you. Be safe. LeakCon 2019.